to the insurance company that tried to break my heart. I am stronger than you ever gave me credit for. You thought I'd never leave? Well, today, I let you go. Today, I found Geico. In just 15 minutes, Geico has given me the sweet savings on my car insurance that you always promised, but never delivered. It's a brand new day, and the sun shines on my Geico automobile insurance policy with 1,000 golden rays. And never looking back. Nancy, in New York.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome everybody, live. This is Under the Mat Radio. This is your host, Tech, with co-host.
NSC Game Boy, what it is, what it do.
And with lead correspondent.
Shinblade, how's everybody doing?
We are doing great. Of course, I would say phenomenal. Everybody, welcome to a special episode of Under the Mat Radio today. This is Wednesday. Don't worry, we're not going backwards in time. It's not Tuesday. We have a special episode for all of the big names that we have. Of course, the special episode we had last month featured Good OG Arjun Ross. This month, this title is called the Phenomenal Episode because we're bringing in 1 minute the man himself, the phenomenal one. As Shinblade said, the greatest wrestler to have yet worked and officially wrestled in the WWE, current IWGP Heavyweight Champion, current Ring of Honor superstar, former TNA superstar all around the world, Mr. AJ Styles. We'll be bringing him on in a second. But of course, go ahead, Shin.
And shout out to Saltine, who's marking out when I say it, but a current member of the Bullet Club.
Yes, current member of the Bullet Club. Yes, definitely can't forget that. We don't want AJ to Pele us at all. Fans, you can follow us on Twitter at tech_UTMR. Follow NSC Game Boy on Twitter at
NSC Game Boy, spelled correctly.
Please spell it correctly. And you can follow Shinblade on Twitter at.
You can follow me with the handle Sensational1 on Twitter.
Yes, follow us on Facebook Under the Mat Radio. We have a like page and group page. Follow us on Instagram Under the Mat Radio, all one word. If you need to email us with any questions or ideas, email us at underthematsradio@gmail.com. And of course, follow us on our YouTube page to see more Shinblades and our road trips. All of our great interviews we had with former WWE superstars all around the world on YouTube Under the Mat Radio. With all that being said, enough of hearing my mouth and everyone else's. We're now bringing in live right now, the man himself, the man of the hour, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Welcome, buddy.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Chilling, man.
Hey.
Fighting the jet lag, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
That jet lag, it can be something. Yeah.
You know, when you go over to Japan, you know, of course you're gonna have jet lag, and then once you get used to it, for the last tour for me was about 3 weeks. So once I got used to it, got on a good schedule, it's about time to come home, and so now I'm jet lagged all over again. So 3:30 this morning, I'm up playing Xbox One.
My man.
There you go. Xbox One. With that being said, AJ, we thank you much for coming on to the show. We appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule for joining us tonight.
Wow, man, I'm glad to do it, dude.
Good. Speaking of video games, I'm going to turn it over to NSC Game Boy because that's his area. So go ahead, brother.
Well, first of all, my first question to you, AJ, is with your handling on the Xbox One, what is the type of games that interest the phenomenal one? Are you a first-person shooter, are you a sports, fighting game?
I'm definitely not an RPG guy. I hate RPG. So those are totally out of the question.
Okay.
But I don't know if you guys have played this game yet. It's fairly new. Zombie Army. Zombie Army. I forget. Anyway, it's basically Elite Sniper 2, and then you get to fight zombies on this next Zombie Army, and it's awesome, dude. I actually just finished it today. So that's the game I'm playing right there. It's more of a third-person shooter, kind of like Gears of War kind of stuff, but you're a sniper, so you're doing a lot of sniping. So that's what I have the Call of Duty, but they kind of ruined me on Ghost, so I haven't played it as much at all. But and I enjoy the sports games, but one of my favorite games didn't come out for the Xbox One because they discontinued the NCAA football.
Oh, my God.
I'm a little bummed out.
Oh, man.
I was one of them who played that.
Yeah, that's my type of gaming, too, especially Madden also.
Who did you play?
Yeah, Madden's cool and all, but I'm more of a college guy down here in the South. We like our college football.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Shamblade.
I'm gonna ask you this, AJ. What team did you normally play? The Bulldogs?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, so that means as of right now, I dislike you because years ago, the Georgia Bulldogs in one of the bowl games, I forget, played the Hawaii Warriors.
Oh, God, we annihilated them, too.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was insulted that Hawaii thought they were good enough to play against someone in the SEC, let alone the Georgia Bulldogs.
You know what? Okay, fans, good night. This show is over. I don't like AJ no more. He just lost to my homeland.
Just so you know, though, I do have a Hawaii basketball jersey in my closet and a Hawaii hoodie. So I like them. I just don't like them when they play Georgia.
Okay, well, fans, again, I do like AJ. He has a Hawaii hoodie in his closet. I had one.
He turned cold
out about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me?
Y'all turn cold, man.
No, I'm a warrior for life.
Uh-huh.
Now you like AJ because he has something Hawaiian, but you ain't like him at first. Okay.
No, I didn't like him because of that game. I'm going to tell you like this. I'm a Hawaii warrior for life. As well as my other school that I was going to go to in college, which was Arizona State.
Well, I don't have any problem with the area. I don't have any problems with Hawaii or area Arizona State. As long as they don't play Georgia, it's all good.
Okay.
I'm a dog.
A
warrior for life. I'm a dog for life.
Yeah, dogs for
there
life.
You have it.
So it's a friend of mine. Arf.
I follow AJ. I follow more the NFL, but I do tend to watch a little bit of college football. Being from Baltimore, the Maryland Terrapins, which we're not known at all for our college football skills at all. But one thing that tends to hurt my eyes is what's the team, AJ, that has the blue turf? Is that Boise State?
Yes.
What turf?
The blue turf.
Yeah, the blue turf. Yes.
Wow, I never got that. Are you a fan of that, the blue turf?
I'm a fan of being different, but I would bet that if I were playing on that field, I wouldn't be a fan of it at all. I could imagine, it's kind of a psych out for other teams to come there and play, which may be a good thing if if the Boise State team has gotten used to it. So, depends whether or not, it's just different.
Well, I'm going to say this before we move on to the next question, AJ. Maybe at the time down the line, we can get you and Shinblade face off in a rematch of their bowl game from years ago, the Hawaii Bulldogs against the Bulldogs.
Bye.
Well, I've got it on the 360, so you want to go down that road. I mean, it'll probably be another beating, but
I feel insulted again. I feel heavily insulted. Not because of you, AJ, because that's Hawaii Bulldogs.
Oh, the Warriors.
I'm sorry, the Hawaii Warriors. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, he's on the right track. So he's already got him conforming to the Bulldogs.
Well, to be honest with you, before we move on, I'm gonna admit to all the fans out there, I can't play an Xbox. I'm no good at playing an Xbox. I'm a Sony person, sadly. I can't fix my hands to play.
I understand. Hey, I was a PlayStation 2 guy, and then the Xbox came out and just started producing more games, and it seemed like better games. So I just kind of went with that direction. The games were made for the Xbox rather than the PlayStation, so I just kind of jumped on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't know that, they at least they did, and as far as I know for the 360, they'll make games, let's say, for the better system. Let's just say it was an Xbox 360, and then they'd be copied to the PlayStation 3. And when you copy something, it's obviously not as good as the original version. So, but now I will say this: the PlayStation 4, from what I'm hearing, is a better system than the Xbox One. The reason why I have an Xbox One is because it met my needs. I have my TV, but all my other stuff is behind a wall, so I can't use my remote control. But to be able to talk to my Xbox One and tell it what channel I want, that's the reason why I got an Xbox One.
Well, smart man, AJ. You stay ahead of the curve. That's what a smart man does. Yeah.
Well, I gotta say for the PS4, I do like the quality and everything, but to tell you the truth, there's one thing that's lacking that I don't like about the PS4, and they have it on the PS3, and it's the ability to play movies. You can't do that like the PS3, where if you have something on a flash drive and watch it up there. So I still have to keep a PS3 even after I get a PS4.
Well, to be honest with you, I have my PS3, but I boxed it up because it's you can play the PS2 games and the PS1, so I boxed it up because, first of all, I never played it, and second, it's going to be worth a lot more money because it can play all those games. So I just figured, why not box it up and make sure it stays working and sell it later on or keep it, whatever. I'm big on retro gaming, so I would assume in a couple of years it may be worth some money.
Question is, AJ, which version of the PS3 did you have? Because they had the real fat one that came out at first, and then you slimmed it down 2 or 3 times. Which version of the PS3 do you have?
I got the big fat one.
Big fat. How many gigabytes?
I don't even know.
It's probably 60 gig.
I literally did not play it enough to know that much about it. I don't even know how to work the system and everything. I just didn't play it. I didn't even get online with my PS3. That's I was just so much. It was so much Xbox 360.
Good night, everybody. Night.
Listen, I'm not hating on PS3. It was just the Xbox 360 was just a better console, in my opinion.
It still is.
Okay.
Yeah, it still is.
I still play my Xbox 360. It travels with me.
Think of it this way, AJ. Xbox One has multi-features, and you are a multi-faceted wrestler and performer.
Yes.
So the PlayStation, it plays a game and lets you go online. You can, play with your friends, and that's pretty much the end. But the Xbox One is it's an entertainment system, and it goes with your system, and it links up to so many other things. That's what really is happening in modern society. Everything is linking up. You got the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, and everything is linking. So you're staying ahead of the curve. You always have an option and somewhere to go, and just by that, describing your character, you went with the best product. So, I
think that
you're doing it well.
Xbox One kind of capitalized on the social media, just being social. I mean, through your Xbox, like you were saying. I mean, you can Skype someone and be playing them at the same time, so you can really talk smack, and they can see you like pelvic thrusting to them after you score a touchdown or something. Like, that's fun. That's cool. Many times, me and Jay Lethal have just, I forget, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was, I don't know when, but he had a bunch of people over his house, and we Skyped, and I was talking to everybody in his living room. It was really cool.
So AJ, you pelvic thrust Jay Lethal online?
No, I did not. But I'm just saying, if there comes a point when it needs to happen, you have the capability of doing it.
Hashtag virtual teabag.
Yeah, sometimes it's not enough to say I teabag you. You can actually do it.
Yo, just imagine, AJ, if you teabag Jay Lethal, just imagine Don West back in the day commentating.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
He'd be screaming it. Teabag. Teabag.
That's worse than the Rey Mysterio teabag.
Here's another area also, AJ, if you want. You can talk to your peoples and get a contract with Xbox One. And by you having, with you traveling to Japan and traveling back, there'll be a good way for you to demonstrate some of his other capabilities that a lot of stars don't really have the chance to really touch into. They always looking for sponsors and people who really have that drive to really put that into the system and everything. You really should look that up, man. You can really.
Well, I can tell you what, the Xbox ain't crap over in Japan. They don't care about it. It is useless. It's all Sony over there. They don't play anything else. It's really hard to find. I won't say really hard. Just not a lot of people have the Xbox.
Yeah,
so
PlayStation runs.
They're struggling.
Japan.
Yeah, they're struggling over in Japan.
Well, I'm moving then.
Well, what about the Saturn? The Sega Saturn is still big in Japan.
Of course.
Have you played that, AJ?
You know what? I wasn't a Sega guy. I was a Super Nintendo, or a 60. Actually, I actually went from a Super Nintendo to a PlayStation 1, so I kind of skipped the 64, but had to go back and realize how great the system was. I was just a Nintendo guy. Not that I didn't hate, I hated the systems. In fact, the first systems I ever wanted from my parents was a Sega Master System, yet I did not get it that Christmas, so I had to wait a couple of years to get the Nintendo, but it changed my life, Nintendo did, so I've just been a Nintendo guy ever since. But I will say this.
Right.
When it comes to 16 bits, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the TurboGrafx 16.
Yes, I own
now. Do you? I bet they're so hard to find in the States. So
yes,
TurboGrafx
I own
16
one. I'm a video game collector, AJ.
Well,
I'm
a
professional video gamer and video game collector. So yes.
You'll be happy to know that I picked up my past trip over to Japan. Obviously, it's not a TurboGrafx 16, but it's a PC Engine. Duo R, so it's the PC Engine CD and obviously the card slot that goes around the combo. So I have the PC Engine CD and a ton of games to play on it. But the only problem with it is it only plays Japanese games, which sucks. But I picked up Bonk's Adventure and then Bonk 2 and Bonk 3, so I got all those to go through, and Golden Axe. It's awesome. So I
still have a copy of the first Street Fighter, which is Fighter Street, on TurboGrafx.
Oh wow!
Which is very, very hard to find, and I still have my copy.
Dude, I've got Splatterhouse.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I got my Splatterhouse too. I remember when I first beat that game. Wow, that's not a game teenagers should be playing. Well, kids should be playing that.
No, it wasn't.
Splatterhouse was way before its time.
Way before its time.
Way before its time. Wow, I never knew that you was a gamer like that. Wow, I never knew that area about you. That's pretty
all right,
cool.
Well, I got one more thing to brag about, I bet you don't have it. Now,
I bet you I do.
All right, it's
okay.
The Japanese version, obviously, which is still hard to find. The PC Engine Turbo. It's the handheld system.
The handheld one. I don't have it.
I do.
One up.
A working.
One up. Oh man.
Style Clash NSC.
That's hard. That's hard to find. That's like like a Go Neo Geo and stuff. That's very, very hard to find.
Yeah, well, the thing, like I said, it's even harder to find in Japan. And I bought one there before, but it didn't work as well as I'd like. It was really hard to see the screen, so I wanted to keep it just because it was hard to find, but it wasn't worth it if it wasn't going to play well. So I took it back. but I was able to find another one, and I mean they're not cheap, that's for sure. But if you don't know anything about this, you know, you can take the home console game and put it in your handheld device, which was, to me, awesome. You know, just amazing that you could do something like that. And even to this day, it's just such an awesome extra to have because you can play you can literally take the game with you.
And that was the first system that started that too. A lot of people didn't know that.
It was
with Genesis and the Game Gears and that was the first one that started that was TurboGrafx. You got me on that one. There's not too many systems that I can honestly say I do not own and have. And some of them I even have multiple systems of, like copies of. But that particular one, no, I don't have that.
Like I said, it's hard to find.
Yeah,
but
it's very hard to find.
The question is, AJ, have you experienced the very unfortunate experience of the Virtual Boy?
You know,
really?
I kind of want to buy one, just because it's terrible and it's you know, Nintendo finally put out something that just sucked completely and just bombed. I mean,
I'll give you one of mine. I have 5 of them. I'll give you one of my Virtual Boys. Yes, I have 5 Virtual Boys.
I have
2 in the box and 3 of them I actually played. Yes, and it was a horrible system.
I need one.
Yeah,
but I gotta find games for it. I want to find out online whether or not
there's only one.
International.
The only game that was really worth playing was the Wario Land game. That was pretty cool.
Wario Land.
But I wouldn't recommend it because when you play it for so long, it really hurts your eyes.
If you
have like any type of eyesight problems or eye problems, it really hurts your eyes. Like when you adjust back to normal, it hurts your eyes. It's not. So NSC Game Boys telling all the fans out there, if you see a Virtual Boy, you got bad eyes, and you play it, sucks to be you.
Well, I can't imagine they'll be playing it for too long because, like you said, there's not a lot of games for it, and there's definitely not a lot of good games for it, so it might be a waste of your time, but it's not about that. A lot of people are like, you know, when I say, I picked this up or I picked that up, well, AJ, won't you just get an emulator? You're missing the point. That it's not about getting an emulator. It's about getting the system, getting the games, and getting something that is so rare and so hard to find. That's what it's about for me. But it's got to be able. You got to be able to play it. I want to be able to turn it on and play it if I want. So. Well,
we'll get your information after the show and everything, and we'll set up something. And I'll send you a copy. Consider that a gift from Under the Mat Radio.
I love it.
We'll send AJ Styles a Virtual Boy. Which I don't usually send anything out of my vault of games, but
that's true.
This is a special edition for a special guy, and I can tell you're a gamer.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, we'll make a trade. I will give you the smaller version of it's called a Core Graphics. It's the PC Engine's Core Graphics. It's a Japanese version, so you'll have to get Japanese games for it. But if you would like to have something like that, I can assist you.
Most definitely, yeah. The vault.
All right.
Under
the Mat exclusive right here.
Yeah, okay.
Speak real quick, AJ. Speaking of video games, one of your friends, fellow Bullet Club member, who's a good friend of ours, a fan of the show, Kenny Omega, I talked to him earlier today. He wanted me to tell you what's up and say how much he loves breaking with you, how he's glad to be affiliated with you in the Bullet Club.
Man, I got to tell you what, Kenny is a blessing to me because I have somebody to talk with about video games. We were on a long bus ride in Japan, and him and I sat in the back and just played each other in Street Fighter on our Superboy. If you don't know what that is, it's Superboy, Supaboy, Superboy. Plays Super Nintendo and Famicom games, and we played Street Fighter 2, and we just it knocked out about an hour. I mean, like it seemed like within a few minutes. So I love having him not only a part of New Japan, but a part of the Bullet Club.
Yeah, we had Kenny on the show. I believe it was in December. I believe it was December of last year.
October.
January. Oh, it was October. I'm sorry. And we had him on for about 2 hours, and 90% of our talks was video games and how much he hated Chuck Norris movies and whatnot. But Kenny's a great guy. We tend to talk to him a lot. I know he's currently in Japan right now. We was I just told him about the Street Fighter animated movie called Round One Fight, which he didn't know about.
Oh, that
So
was
he said he
good.
was going to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
So, big up.
I'm gonna check that
AJ,
out.
fellow crew member of ours, we call him Saltine, said, what is your thoughts on Lukey games?
I've yet to experience it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, you can go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you. Now, what kind? Let me ask you. So, let me hear. See if I heard you right. What kind of games are you saying again?
Lukey games.
I don't think I even know what those are.
Is that Lukey 2
Game
from
Boy?
Mario Brothers?
I'm about to say, I don't. What is a Lukey game?
Yeah.
Is he saying it right?
Dookie?
I'm saying this is what he sent me. I'm going to have him to clarify that. AJ, we'll definitely get back to that topic.
I think clear up what you're saying, man, because I'm like a Lukey. I don't know what a Lukey game is. I'm sorry, you lost me on that.
Yeah.
Well, I got one. AJ, I will say this for you being a gamer, I found a shirt that has you in the likeness of the Super Mario Brothers that I'm trying to find.
It's awesome. Super Mario Brothers 2, and it is awesome. Yes. That's one of my favorite shirts. So, I mean, because I'm a huge gamer, and they knew it when they made it. So, I'm stoked to have that one.
That one is going next to my Daniel Bryan Super Mario Brothers 3 T-shirt that I got now.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Love it, dude.
But
with that,
okay.
Go, Shane.
But coming along, I will say this, AJ. I have to say thank you very much for being in my Shy blog, as I renamed it this week. My kind of like road trip video at the Ring of Honor event, and a lot of people were so shocked that you were a fan of Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
I don't know how you couldn't be. It's a classic. I mean, the movie is awesome. I've watched it play a couple thousand times, and it's, if I could find it on DVD, I'd have my boys watching it. So,
well, actually, I can send it to you.
Do you have it on DVD? You have copies of this movie?
I have it on my hard drive, and I have it on DVD. I burned it on my hard drive.
It's a classic.
And to tell you the truth, the acting sucks. The acting sucks in that movie, but it's just the nostalgia that will take you.
Yeah, dude.
In the soundtrack.
I remember somebody as a kid going, man, this acting sucks, kind of. But they had Ernie on there, and I thought he was awesome. He did the breakdancing, beat up his dad. The guy that he fought against, I don't know if you knew this, was his dad.
Also, he was in.
So I mean, there's just so much cool stuff that happened.
Mhm.
He was in the Turtles 2 movie.
That's right. He actually
he was.
I think he played as a turtle in one. I think it may have been Donatello or something like that. He played. I don't know this for sure, but I think I heard that he played as a turtle, and then the next movie he got his own little role there, which was awesome because those movies are awesome too. 1 and 2 are awesome. 3 Turtles in Time, oh God, pretty bad.
That never happened.
What do you think about the remake? What do you think about the remake?
I hated it.
Me too.
I hated it. I thought it was ridiculous. Why are these turtles 8 foot tall and able to turn over, transport trucks or transport truck trailers? I hated it, man. Anytime
what about
what is his name? Michael Bay? I don't even know what his name is.
Michael Bay.
Yeah, Michael Bay. Every time he touched him,
but he ruined the Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
I hated them. I hated every one of those. It's just ridiculous. When you make out Optimus Prime to be a wuss, you screwed the whole movie up. And to me, that's what they did.
Don't forget, AJ.
Optimus doesn't get beat. He turns the tide.
Right.
Everybody knows that.
Yes, that is true. He's also doing the remake of the Power Rangers, too. So he's going to kill all of our kid franchise movies.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
He's
Michael Bay
that?
is current.
Yes,
Michael Bay is currently working on the remake of the Power Rangers. So that's something else that he's going to kill.
Well, luckily,
hold on,
I was out. I was out of the Power Rangers loop. Thank God. But dude, I watched Transformers the movie, the animated movie, when I was in Japan because it's on YouTube, and I just watched that. You know, I still love that movie to this very day. It's awesome.
Yeah, I remember going to the theaters and
watching
seeing
the cartoon.
Yeah, I was like 6
blew my mind.
6 or 7 years old when I was in the theaters when that came out, and I cried when Optimus died, like everybody did, because no one saw it coming, and Galvatron and all that. And, that movie was hard. That movie was hard.
So to ask AJ, just think of this, and let's see if you agree with this. Just like RoboCop saved Sting, how would you like if Optimus Prime saved you if you was getting a beat down in Ring of Honor or in Japan?
What would I think about RoboCop?
Yeah, like RoboCop saved Sting. Remember that? How would you feel if somebody wrote a storyline of Optimus Prime coming out to save you?
If Optimus Prime came out, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
But I have to be able to get into the transfer truck and drive off.
Yes.
I agree.
So the likelihood of Optimus Prime saving me is very slim, but it would be awesome.
Well, you'd be better off than Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, he would screw that up too.
You would be better off than Shia LaBeouf, though. I can say that much.
Or Mark Wahlberg.
You know what? I like Mark Wahlberg.
You know what? I watched a little bit of the I think it's the fourth one. Is that the one?
Yes.
I think that's the one that has Mark Wahlberg in it. Now, I've always been a fan of his, and so that one I didn't mind as much. But it's still, you know, they ruined it with the first movie. But since we're talking about remakes, I can tell you, though, I actually liked the RoboCop one they did. I actually liked that one.
Oh, the fast one?
Really?
I kind of did.
You know, I
I
thought
haven't
it was
seen
okay. I thought it was okay, AJ.
We talked about this.
Don't get me wrong, it's not like the original, but it seems like they took a totally different route in how they did it, and kind of updated it. Not necessarily said he was an alien or something stupid, you know, that totally off the story. He was a cop, you know. I like that. So,
well, I have a question for you, AJ.
All right.
Since we are like if and then about remakes, we're mostly negative about remakes. I got this a while ago, and then somebody confirmed it for me like a couple weeks ago. What do you think about the remake or rebooting of the new Ghostbusters, but now it's all females?
Yeah, I heard about that. I literally just heard that a week ago.
It's
I don't know how they're going to play that off. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work, you know.
It was in limbo. It was in limbo for many, many years, and then it was teasing reports saying that Bill Murray was in and Bill Murray was out, and then it was in and out. And then it was like they're too old to come back and play it, so they got females, and it's Melissa McCarthy from Bridesmaids and other movies, and the failed Tammy movie. Oh yeah,
she's funny.
Yeah, she did a great Chris Farley, his character on Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary. The next one is Kristen Wiig, who I like. Emma Stone.
Emma's good.
She got Next Door thing. And Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Live, which I think they could not get any better black chicks.
Well,
five.
it's still, I mean, it's weird being women. You know, I'm anxious to see how the story is, because it's one thing for, you know, because when you see like, you know, Ghost Hunters, it's dudes. You know, when you watch the show Ghost Hunters or whatever it is, it's always dudes. So I don't know how they're going to, you know, move that storyline into women involved in fighting ghosts. So we shall see.
I had to get that out of my system.
That's fine. AJ, we have a couple of callers. Would you mind taking a few?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. We're going to bring in now Saltine. Are you there?
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Hey, brother, you're live with AJ Styles. You can explain the message you sent me to AJ.
What's up, AJ? How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro.
Okay. All right, what I was saying is Lukey Games is a classic video game website. It's LUKIE games.com. And it sells like Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, like classic video game systems. It's a very good store. And I have another one, DKOldies.com. They sell the same thing, but they got some good prices, and you should look into it.
Oh man, yeah, man, I'll definitely check it out. It's I love retro gaming, man. I think it gets older guys like myself excited about gaming, So yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, dude.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. I'll say you the league on Twitter, most definitely.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Did you have a question for AJ Sultan?
All right, this is a good question. Who was your favorite opponent in New Japan currently? I like Okada myself because I like his charisma, his cockiness. I say, yeah, this is the guy right here. So who's your favorite opponent?
Man, I'm going to tell you, New Japan is loaded with them. These guys, every one of them have their own style, which makes it so fun, to wrestle there. Okada, whatever that it factor is, he's got it. I mean, the guy, and he's experienced a lot of the American style, so he's kind of used to it already. So it's really fun being in there with him. I can't say that he's my favorite out of everybody. I think there's a lot of different matchups I've had that have been great, and some that I haven't that I'm looking forward to. So it's hard to pick just one.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Sultan.
All right, thanks, guys.
No problem. All right, going to bring in a co-correspondent from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. Toph, you there, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey,
what's up,
what's going on, man?
Oh, hey, AJ or Mr. Styles. I have a me of you. I play as you on Super Smash Brothers, just so you know.
Okay.
Oh, and you guys were talking about movies and stuff. Everyone knows that Michael Bay is the Vince Russo of movies, so, not much we can say about that. Anyway, the question I have for Mr. Styles is the crazy X Division matches you guys did, with you, Joe, Daniels, and stuff. At a certain point, did you guys get together beforehand and, plan out the matches, or do you just sort of, go out there, wing it, and just kind of, because I know, after a certain point, you guys are familiar with each other, but the three-way you guys had an Unbreakable all those years ago, did you guys plan that match beforehand, or did you guys just wing it? I've always been curious.
Well, the crazy thing is that, yeah, we did get together. Three-ways are a lot harder because you can't. It's hard to wing those if you want to stay exciting the whole time. But Joe's fault just as much as it is mine. Joe went home early, so we winged about 10 minutes of the end of that match, just on the fly, just going at it. So we talked about it, but we went home too early, and there was a lot of stuff that could have been in there that was awesome that we had to cut, but it still turned out to be a great match, and I still think to this day, oh my God, how awesome could it have been if we went with what we had.
My next question is that you've had some pretty good matches with ACH, Ring of Honor. What do you think about ACH? Do you think he has the potential to be a world champion in the future?
Absolutely. I think he's super talented. And in wrestling him, in Ring of Honor, I thought it went very well. I thought it was very exciting. I had a great time in there. He can go as far as he wants to. It's totally up to him. And man, him and I work together so well. I can't see any reason why he wouldn't be at the top.
All right, thanks, Toph. You can stay on live, Toph. We have one more caller for you, AJ. Bringing in now, T-Storm. You there, buddy?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey man,
what's going on?
What's up, man?
Hey AJ.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I don't know if I want to bring this up or not, but when you were in TNA, because I don't know how you feel about TNA now, but when you were in TNA, who was the most annoying? I mean, really, be honest on this one. Which wrestler was the most annoying one ever to be around in the locker room?
Right. Thanks, T-Storm.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. You want me to be honest with you? I got along with everybody. I may have been the most annoying guy in the locker room. I don't know. But TNA was a great place to be, I think, from when it started to about 2008 8, I guess. It was just everybody was there to do their job and have fun doing it, and so it was a great locker room. Not that that locker room changed into something totally wrong. It was just, I think, the management that really changed us into being a little bit. We just weren't having as much fun. I think just the management had changed in a direction we weren't exactly happy with. But man, I don't know if that one guy was annoying to me. There was a time that Kid Cash and I didn't like each other very much, but we talked it out, got it straightened, and he's actually a guy I like being around these days. So other than that, that's about it, man.
All right, thanks, T-Storm. Have another caller, area code 443. Welcome to Under the Mat Radio with AJ Styles.
Hi, AJ Styles.
Hey.
Do you like fighting games and wrestling games?
I do. I can't say that I like wrestling games. I like a wrestling game. If you've ever heard me talk about wrestling games, you know my favorite one, Nintendo 64, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. It's actually an all-Japan video game. So it's a Japanese game. You can it's really simple to you don't have to get a converter or anything. Just take the back of your Super Nintendo cartridge off and replace it with the Japanese side, and now it fits it will fit your Super or your Nintendo 64. So that is my favorite game of all time. It's got so many wrestlers on there and shoot fighters as well. It totally changed. If you ever played WCW World Tour or Revenge or WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy, it's basically all those games rolled into one.
Wow.
Favorite game. It is the best game ever.
Wow.
It is worth going and getting a Nintendo 64 just to play this game.
Yes.
Wow.
Did you have another question for AJ?
Yes. Do you like anime?
Do I like anime? Well, there's not a lot of movies that I like that are animated, probably because I haven't seen a lot of them. Ninja Scroll is probably one of my favorite animated movies of all time. I think it's just awesome. Ghost in the Shell is pretty good. Those Japanese anime is just, some of them are too off the wall, but some of them are really good.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm always loved anime.
All right.
Well, maybe I just need to find some right ones, and maybe I'll get to find. It's just hard to find some anime that are really I don't know how to put it, but that I think that I'll enjoy.
Oh.
Thank you, caller. For that. AJ, we could talk more like NXT Game Boys and the games. I'm into anime too, so where I could get some definite. It's anime for everybody, so you just let me know what you like, and I could recommend some anime series to you.
Is that girl still on the line?
No.
Oh, okay.
Have you watched Ninja Scroll?
We can get her name.
What's one of my all-time favorites?
Yeah, yes. I have the original VHS of Ninja Scroll.
Oh, really? I got it on DVD. Now I do have the original Transformers on VHS. How about that?
There you go.
I used to have it. One of my girlfriends broke it. She threw my stuff out years ago. She had my tape in there, and she broke it.
Ex-girlfriend then, right?
Yeah, she ex-girlfriend, so it's all good. She didn't get my games, though. She didn't get to the vault. But I have a question for you, AJ, and this is I'm used to I'm the one on the show that asks mostly the serious questions, and they kind of go into with your career and everything. Now, you are a successful professional wrestler. You are also a father. And I also know that you are a born-again Christian, in which each of these transformations that you have made in your life, what do you think is the characteristic after undergoing all these transformations, being a successful wrestler, being a successful father, being born again and everything? What is the characteristic that you think have stayed with you throughout each of these transformations?
Well, when I got saved, I don't think that that I was a bad guy before. I just made really bad decisions. And when I got saved, it was one of those. Not that I don't make bad decisions, because I do, but it's, I learn from them rather than keep making the same bad decision. I think that's when I ask God, to save me, that I believe that's what He's doing. He's saving me from keep making the same bad decision over and over. And I have my demons as everybody else. I'm not perfect, but that helped me in everything I've done, especially in my career, trying to avoid things. And when it came to whether or not I was going to stay with TNA or go somewhere else, it was something that I prayed about. And when it came to make that decision, it was we went with Ring of Honor. Wrestling's it's a crazy way of life, and you really got to have your head on straight, because before you know it, you'll start getting a big head. You'll think you're bigger than you are, and then you'll get a shot of reality, and you don't want that. You want I don't forget that there's AJ Styles. He's on TV. He's doing this, but when I come home, I'm Alan Jones. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I got a job to do. And I got to keep that in check. But that always, trying to be a man of God, trying to do what's right, not by me, but by our Lord. So I think that it just has a lot to do with it. And treat the way I treat people is the way I want to be treated. It always comes reverts back to what I believe in.
Thank you, AJ.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I say too, AJ, that I'm a born again Christian as well, and I definitely look up to your work, as well as other born again Christians that are out in the wrestling world that are really trying to live for the Lord and by His word, instead of like anybody else. They tend to grab a hold of something for a little bit and tend to throw it away. So definitely want to give you personally my thanks for that too.
I appreciate it, man. It's just it is what it is. If you ask me, would I want my kids to be a wrestler? Absolutely not. It's hard enough in this world to grow up and doing the right thing, but when you get around some evil things in pro wrestling, and trust me, it's out there. From I don't have to tell you, you guys know enough about wrestling. It's just there's some bad things that go on there, and it's not something that I want my kids to be a part of. It's hard. There's ups and there's downs, and you got to keep your head about yourself when those do happen. Got to have faith.
Got a couple of fan questions coming in from Facebook. One question is, AJ Styles, what are your thoughts on Dixie Carter?
Dixie and I still talk. I don't hate her or anything like that, but when it comes to the decision on whether or not AJ left, ultimately she kind of let that decision, happen, and so I don't blame her. It's just it turned out to be a blessing, I thought I was going to be able to retire from TNA. I thought I was going to work until I didn't need to or couldn't work there anymore. But that's not the way it played out, and it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, not being there anymore. So, like I said, I don't hate Dixie. In fact, we still communicate.
All right. So, did you have another? I'm sorry, not so. I meant to turn over to Shinblade.
Actually, that last fan killed my question, because that was one of the questions I wanted to ask about you leaving TNA, because personally, with what I seen you as, I loved the Lone Wolf when you left. Was that
right?
I just didn't feel that you were used to enough potential. Like, I get the fact of putting people over and putting people in the title picture, and Bully Ray was one of them, which I did like. But one of the things that concerned me about you over the years was the misuse of you. Like, for instance, when Hulk Hogan and crew came to TNA, which in my belief and many others, that killed TNA, you were billed as a member of Fortune. You with Ric Flair, you were with I think it was Beer Money and Nigel McGuinness that was in it.
Yeah.
And they bleached blonde your hair and wanted you to be like the second or third incarnation of the Nature Boy. I thought that was crazy. And even the angle where they pulled some DLC woman out and claimed that you were sleeping with her, or that you fathered kids outside of your marriage. And I thought that was absolutely god awful as far as your character. I mean, as far as your character and as you as a man. And I'm a God-fearing man myself. I used to be a Christian, but I'm of another religion right now. But what were your thoughts about these angles that were, in fans' perception, burying your character, let alone your credibility?
Well, I got to tell you, man, I don't mind the challenge. And they did, me and Hogan talked, and he said, we're going to put you with Rick, and we kind of want you to be like a Rick. And I go, all right, I'll give it a shot. They wanted me to dye my hair blonde. Now, like you said, they've done that before, and I didn't want to be Ric Flair Jr. I want to be AJ Styles. So, I highlighted my hair, and I got a robe, but I got a robe with a hood. So I was still AJ Styles with a guy who has been influenced by Ric Flair. And Fortune, Nigel didn't actually make the cut. It turned out to be Frankie as well, and Fortune. And we had something going on that it seemed pretty entertaining at the time. And it seemed like right when it was getting really good, right when we were taking down the big heels, we were the heels turned face, they split us up. And, we had so many great ideas, getting off Flair Force One and all this stuff we could have done. And it's like they couldn't see outside of the wrestling ring box, so that went by the wayside. As far as the Claire Lynch story that you're talking about, that wasn't their idea. That was a story that Christopher Daniels, myself, and Frankie Kazarian came up with. But you got to know the story that was supposed to happen. The story didn't come out the way we had it. Had it came out the way we had it, it would have turned out totally different. Claire Lynch wasn't supposed to be a friend of the family. Claire Lynch was supposed to be the niece of Dixie Carter, and the reason why AJ Styles was going to keep it hush-hush from everybody because he was trying to make sure that it didn't get out to the media that a family member of the Carters was in rehab. And so, the backstory is I met her a long time ago. We became really good friends, and so that's why I was willing to help her out. Now, when it did come out that this girl, was a drug addict and she was going to come out and say, this is Dixie and AJ aren't together, this is what's going on, this girl was going to walk out and she was going to be amazingly hot. She had to be unbelievably, attractive. And, to the point where you go, you know what, AJ, if you did, I don't blame you. If you got together with her, man, I don't know that I would blame you. That's the way it had to go. But instead, we got a chick that looked like olive oil from Popeye. To the point where, nobody would expect me to be with her. Nobody believed that. Like, no way AJ would be with her. So it didn't work. First of all, it didn't work because she wasn't a family member. They literally changed. I guess Dixie changed that on the fly or whatever, because they didn't want to be associated with anything. Like, it's a story. It's entertainment.
So it was like the DLC Down syndrome woman from WWE that said that Daniel Bryan slept with her. It was like the same story, right?
Sorta, but like I said, this girl would have been so hot, you'd be like, "Oh, AJ, you're the man." It was almost been like that.
Well,
but
okay.
When they didn't do that, it changed everything. When she wasn't a family member and just was a friend, why didn't you just help her, Dixie? Why did AJ do it? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to keep this a secret? This girl's not related to either one of you. Who cares? So that took a turn for the worse. They wanted to say that because it was such a good story between Dixie and I that looked like it was going on, but didn't, they just didn't go about it the right way. Well,
I got to say, AJ, and I'm going to say this on a personal level, if it was my story, I would have had somebody like Rosario Dawson come out, and it went to the point where I would have been like, yo, I couldn't help myself, or if you want to bring back the movies again, I would have referenced Harlem Nights to say, put your mother on the phone, I ain't coming home. I'd do something like that, but not no woman that you could pick up from the streets anywhere, including Baltimore. No, I couldn't do that.
Hey, I'm with you. That's the main thing. It had to be this one girl that we, that would, just the very look of her would be like, yeah, I got you, AJ.
So AJ did not approve of the looks of the lady at all.
I don't think
Not
anybody, not one soul, approved of it. So, like I said, it could have been a great story, but you got to be committed to it. And when you're not committed to it, and I'm not saying that Frankie and Chris and I weren't, it ain't gonna work.
Well, first of all, who brought her in?
Okay.
Well, that would be TNA management. She worked within the park of Universal Studios, so she was cheap to bring in. I know that surprises you guys.
No, it doesn't.
That is. Well, we also with TNA, so yeah, it surprised me. AJ, I want to ask you this: is in TNA you got to be around Ric Flair, you got to be around Hulk Hogan, you got to be around Sting. With them three being icons of the business, let me know some of the best advice you've gotten from them three.
Gosh, I got to be honest with you. I never really, Sting and I talked all the time, but it was, spiritual stuff, and or playing cards, So I loved Sting, and Rick was, just doing his thing when we were, we just really hung out during the show, and Hulk Hogan didn't really talk to me that much, to be honest with you. So I can't say that I got a lot of advice from those guys, other than Sting, hanging out with him and playing gin. We had some good conversations. He was a guy I definitely liked being around, and not that I don't respect those other guys, but, Sting, him and I, he was a hero of mine, so I had a lot in common with him.
That's what's up.
All right. You have a fan question, Shin?
Yes. Got it from a friend of mine back in Virginia, who's a big fan of yours. I don't know if you remember her. Her name is Lori Hartman.
I think so.
Yeah, we were good friends for a time, but then we fell out, and we just got back on when she found out that you was coming on the show, and she texted me and asked me because I'm a big fan of this guy also. But what were your thoughts about you being TNA champion in 2010 and having to drop the title to RVD on television?
Well, by the way, did you say Laura?
Lori, with an I-E.
Oh, okay. Not familiar with Lori, but then again, it dropped on my head a lot. So, but as far as the RVD match was concerned, I didn't like it. Not because RVD was going over. It had nothing to do with that. It was because AJ Styles was your TNA heavyweight champion. AJ Styles was your original. And you had RVD and Jeff Hardy wrestle. And then you had RVD and AJ Styles wrestle, and he beat, me clean as a whistle in the middle of the ring. Now, the reason why that bothers me, this guy just came from WWE. And actually, he didn't even come from, he'd been out a year. And then, but the last place anybody had seen him is from WWE. And not Rob, it wasn't Rob winning that bothered me. It was that you were putting over a WWE guy that bothered me. And, it was what it was. And I put him over, but I wasn't happy about it. Not, like I said, not because he beat me, but because he was a WWE guy. He just came in literally and then won the title. And people go, oh, that's a WWE guy. That's why he went over. He's a WWE is better than TNA.
So it wasn't just it wasn't because it was a squash match, because I remember 2 minutes and that was it.
Yeah, well, it was his second match of the night, so I would assume that had a lot to do with it being a short match. But it didn't make any sense to me. I believe it was because they believed that RVD was a big star, so that's why they put him over. To me, it actually should have been the other way around. Because you want to say basically that TNA is a better company. That's what I would have done if it was mine. Now, in saying that, let me say this: I went over to New Japan Pro Wrestling and beat Okada the first time I was there. Now, still, that would not have been a booking that I would have done. But if you think that I'm going to turn down the IWGP title, you're crazy. So But we continued to do business, and Okada's got his win back against me. He beat me in the G1 first match we had. He beat me. It was a great match, and I loved it. So it's crazy for me to say this about TNA, and then I wouldn't go do the same thing at New Japan Pro Wrestling. But it is what it is. I don't book it, but if I had, things would be different.
Okay. So.
Yeah, man. I've been a big TNA fan for years.
I will say, let me throw this out there right quick, just so you know. When I beat Okada, we cheated. I didn't go over him clean. We cheated. We distracted the ref. Hit him with a finisher, and then he got hit with another finisher. So I'm just throwing that out there as well.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for that. Thank you.
I've been a big TNA fan for years, and pretty much you, Joe, and Daniels were like the main three there. And it's kind of crazy because Samoa Joe just came to Ring of Honor, and I saw the picture online with you, Joe, Daniels, and Kaz, and I was like, wow, those were like the four guys I watched TNA for in your Ring of Honor. TNA still has some good talents. They have, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, EY, Lashley is really coming around and stuff like that. I was listening to what you said before in the previous RVD question, and I felt that going into the beginning of 2010, I thought that you guys were great. You had just had your feud with Daniels. You were champion. You had Beer Money and British Invasion. The Knockouts division was doing good. Nigel McGuinness or Desmond Wolfe was doing great. The Pope D'Angelo De Niro was doing great. I thought TNA as a company was far better than anything WWE was doing. Then Hogan and Bischoff came in. Next thing you know, Jeff Hardy was there. RVD was there. Mr. Anderson was there. Great guys, but, I just felt like you guys were forcibly given a back seat when they took the front seat. And, you had a really great forgotten feud with Douglas Williams for the TV championship, and I was just wondering if you had any stories about Douglas Williams. He was a really good wrestler. I loved his Chaos Theory finisher, and I remember you guys had a feud for the TV title.
I did too.
Yeah, you guys I remember you guys had a few curtain jerker matches, and I thought it was really good, and I think it should be talked about more. What's your opinion of Douglas Williams, and do you remember that feud?
Absolutely. Doug is an amazing wrestler, and I've known Doug for a long time, and I've always enjoyed wrestling when I had the opportunity. And I wrestled him it was last year, and I just, after the match, I told where we're at in England, I told him what I thought about Doug Williams and how great I thought he was, and he didn't get the opportunity that he deserved in TNA, and it was a mistake ever letting him go. But we had, I think it was, he had won one match, I'd won the other, and we had to pay off at the pay-per-view. And I want to say it may have been Genesis. It was the payoff, because it was after Christmas. But during the Christmas holiday, I tore my hip labrum, and so we weren't able to have that last match, that blow-off match. And I was so upset with myself because I know that me and Doug were going to tear it up. And I didn't get the opportunity to do that, and I almost feel like maybe if we had, maybe things would have been different for him. I don't know. So I kind of feel responsible for him not getting the opportunity that he should have. But I'm telling you, man, he's always been good, always for years, since 2000, I think, when I met him, maybe earlier than that. That Chaos Theory is awesome, and he's a star.
I have another question for you, AJ. I would love to hear what you think about this. I've been hearing a lot of fans talk about this lately. What is your opinion of this NXT renaissance going on in WWE? I'm not sure if you're aware, but Triple H is basically, he's in charge of that, and a lot of guys that have made their name in the independents are having great matches in NXT, and they're basically overshadowing anything that's in the main product. And I'm seeing guys that I never thought I'd ever see in a WWE ring, like Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen, whatever. How do you feel about that? I mean, do you think that's going to give competition to the indies? Are you happy? I mean, what do you think? I'm just curious what someone of your caliber thinks about it.
I think that NXT is great for some guys that deserve to be in that spotlight. It's not the biggest spotlight yet, but they're going to have to at some point bring those guys up because they're tearing it up, and they're good. That's why they are so well known on the indies. So I'm happy. I'm happy for those guys. I'm glad they're getting the opportunity. And who knows who's going to be the next guy or guys to go over there. And I would say it's pretty smart on Triple H. He's got something brewing there, and he knows it's good. So, he's building up his next crop of guys to hopefully get WWE back on the track that it needs to be. WrestleMania was a stepping stone in the right direction for them. I think there was a lot of good matches. Not that I've gotten to watch every one of them, but from what I heard, everybody seemed to be really happy with it. So, just taking those guys who were so great on the indies, getting them in NXT, and then hopefully getting them on the big stage, I think is a good thing. Those guys deserve to be there.
I can understand. That sounds pretty cool. My question to you is this, and we know that WrestleMania was a few weeks ago, AJ, and of course we had Triple H versus Sting, and it was in my opinion, a very dismal match. It was very confusing, but I just wanted to know your opinion about now that Sting has finally entered inside a WWE ring, which he's almost one of the last of the Mohicans, per se. What is your opinion about him going into the ring, and maybe your opinion about the actual match, if you had the chance to see it, the Sting versus Triple H?
The thing that you got to look at is, aside from Sting was the last one, and he didn't have to go there. Who knows what the reason why he went there? But for me, this is a business. This is what I do. Now, don't get me wrong. I love to entertain fans, but at the end of the day, this is what I do for a living, and I got to make sure that people still want to see AJ Styles, and so therefore I have to put on my best effort when I get inside the ring. And I'm sure Sting is no different. I think Sting did what he needed to do to tell a good story in that ring, and and the story was DX was in there, and whether we liked it or not, there was a big pop when those guys walked out, and that says it all. I'm sure if those fans popped there at the stadium, a lot of people were at home going, "Oh my God, oh my God!" That's what it's all about. It's entertaining people. I mean, Sting's not going to do 450s or anything like that, so it's going to be a different kind of style. They're going to do what people know, what people remember, and that's what you're supposed to do. And to throw in the DX and NWO was just kind of a nostalgia thing, it's icing on the cake for a lot of people. So I didn't mind it that much. So it was just one of those things, man. I'm glad that Sting got a WrestleMania moment. I'm happy for him. He's a buddy of mine, and whatever he decided to do, it was best for Sting.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you. Shin, you have a question I think you wanted to ask?
Yes, I did. Thank you, NSC. AJ, I'm going to get real serious, probably just like NSC segments, hashtag NSC segments.
Thanks.
There was a little internet war, should I say YouTube war, that was being cast upon you about your move, the Styles Clash. And I remember one wrestler who I actually met like 2 years ago by the name of Luke Hawx. And he began calling your name out on Twitter and on Title Match Wrestling about how you shouldn't use it anymore, and which I disbelieve that because I have an answer. Who say you shouldn't use it anymore, and then there was other people, especially the whiners of the IWC, who says the same thing. What are your thoughts about that?
As far as Luke Hawx is concerned, I think if I were someone that wasn't well known and I wanted to get my name out there, and I had a buddy named AJ Styles, and I kept saying things, and he knew what was going on, then I'd keep doing it. Now, it is what it is, and I think I just pretty much answered that question for him. As far as the Styles Clash is concerned, you brought up the IWC. Sometimes they just need is that an English website or whatever it is? I don't even know.
The IWC?
Yes.
No, it stands for Internet Wrestling Community, and as part of being a fellow host or correspondent, what have you, and I talk about wrestling on the internet. So I am a part of the IWC, but I'm not the part that complains about everything. When it comes to certain things in wrestling, I try to find a positive spin on it. Any negative thing I have, I try to find a positive spin on it, except for like one or two things. But I'm not the one who complains about everything that happens in wrestling, period. It's like AJ Styles wins the IWGP Championship. Oh, we got something to complain about. Nothing of that nature. It's just that there's a section of us that I don't concern myself with. There are a bunch of whiners that like to find everything negative within certain things. So that's why I came up with that question.
Well, I mean, listen, if you don't know how to take the Styles Clash and you're worried about it, even if you're worried about it, we don't have to do it. It's not that big a deal to me. But when promoters want it, they're the ones paying me. If they ask for it, then and everybody's cool with it, I have no problem doing it. If not, I have no problem tapping you out or, doing something off the top. It's not that big an issue with me. But the problem is people, two guys have taken this move and got hurt, seriously hurt. And I would take it back if I could. But I don't have control over what you do with your body on that move. I have your body in control, but you have your head. Now, if you tuck your head, I can't do anything about that. That's the only thing I can't control. The one thing I couldn't control, and all you have to do is nothing, and you're fine. But I can't. Everybody wants me to take responsibility, but you got to know that I asked these guys if they know who to take it. They both responded yes. One even basically said no problem and kind of like brushed me away like I was dumb for even asking them.
Ooh.
But whatever happened, and if people are going to complain, I would love somebody to complain to me that's been trained out of pro wrestling. They say it's instinct to tuck your chin. You know why they don't teach you how to take a face bump? Because it's common sense that you don't tuck your head. If I tripped you forward, would you tuck your head? Doesn't make any sense. So that's why it's not a instinct. It's common sense not to tuck your head. But if they want somebody blamed, if they want me to be the bad guy, then I'll be that guy. I'll be the bad guy. If you want me to be the bad guy, then I'll make that shirt that says cashing checks and breaking necks. If that's the bad guy you want to be, I'll be that guy.
I love you for that. Well, champagne, I love him for that.
I will.
But let it be known, though, man, I would never, ever hurt somebody intentionally. That was the last thing I want. And so for me to get the blame of something like that it's kind of stupid, especially from people who've never been in a wrestling ring before or been trained. Listen, I played football in high school, and I've watched it all my life, and I love football. But that doesn't qualify me to be a head coach for any football team, high school, college, NFL. So why do people think that they just because they watch pro wrestling can tell me what was done wrong?
Yes, and
to
tell you the truth, I will say this, to capitalize on it, I will say this, AJ Styles on the video that I shot even asked Gregory Helms to do the vertebreaker. So that means something.
Yes.
And the vertebreaker is a nasty maneuver.
And I begged Shane to do it to me. I asked Shane, please give me the vertebreaker. I don't know if you knew that. They didn't let it. They didn't say. They basically WWE said you're not using that. and that was kind of left at that. But then him and I got the opportunity to wrestle. I said, "Will you please give it to me?" And he said, "Okay." And so I think I was the last one he may have given it to, but because it looks so scary, but it's pretty easy to take. I took it from Homicide too.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was the Gringo Killer.
Exactly.
Yeah. AJ, if you don't mind sharing with us, a lot of people, we get asked a lot, us being fans all of our life, about wrestling's fake, wrestling's this, that, and the other. I get asked it all the time in my life of having the show, us being backstage at events. People keep saying wrestling is fake, you don't go through stuff, though y'all are not real athletes and what have you. Would you mind, AJ, giving us a list and letting the fans that are listening that may have some kind of misconceived notions of pro wrestling, of the injuries that you sustained throughout your career?
Well, first and foremost, that we're going to, a lot of wrestlers who've had a long career will be in pain for the rest of their lives. I seriously, if something was seriously wrong with me, I wouldn't know because I deal with it every day. I deal with pain every day. It's just a part of life, and I wouldn't change that. But I've broken my foot. I've broken my hand. I tore my hip labrum. Yes, I did it when I was off, but it wasn't. It was damage done to it already, and so, when I took off on the sprint to make sure my kid wasn't driving his 4-wheeler up the tree, I tore an inch tear in my hip labrum. So that that's one of them. I've had some neck issues, but that's just part of wrestling. A lot of people said, a lot of wrestlers have said it ain't ballet, and that's absolutely right. We can't fake falling down. We can't fake landing on our head. We can't fake running to those ropes. And believe me, those ropes hurt. They're not, they're elevator cables. There are real rope that WWE uses, but it's not what you think. It's not soft. It's not got foam around it. This is stuff that your body gets used to, gets calloused to. It's not a trampoline in that ring. It still hurts. It's amazing what you get used to. But just because you get used to it doesn't mean it's not going to come back and get you in the long run. So many guys have gotten hurt doing leapfrogs. They've blown out their knees doing leapfrogs or arm drags, simple moves like that. It's just part of the game. And for someone to say that we're not athletes, man, I wish that weren't. I wish that were true. So I didn't have to work out every day. That it'd be nice to sit on the couch and play video games all day long when I have a day off. But no, as soon as I get home, it's back to training again. When we get off the phone tonight, I'm going to train some more. That's just what I have to do. The older I get, the harder I have to train. But the older I get, the less energy I have to train. So it doesn't make any sense. But this is wrestling, and I got to make sure that when guys are sitting at home and they're doing nothing, and I need to be the one still training so that I can be better.
Yes, thank you for that, AJ. Thank you. Your move set. Me and my buddies, my personal friends, and the C Game Boy, all of us here on the show, we have an inside joke where, we have videos of you wrestling. You have a big collection of wrestling, and every time you do the move, say the Pele. How did you start doing the Pele or some of your signature moves, the Pele, the Styles Clash, even your top rope moves? How did you start making those your signature moves?
Well, one thing that I always wanted to do is I wanted to do stuff that's totally original. I didn't want to copy anybody else because I feel like if I copy someone else, then you'll think of that person and not AJ Styles. So that's why I try to keep everything that I do pretty original. So when you see someone else do the Pele, you go, that's AJ Styles. Or the Styles Clash, even though you're calling it something different, it's AJ Styles. I've got it seems like everywhere I go that someone's doing one of my. There are two guys in New Japan Pro Wrestling, that do moves that I did on a regular basis. So I try not to use those anymore. But as far as the Styles Clash goes, like a lot of people may not know that it was totally invented by me, by mistake. My little brother, and his buddy were trying to power bomb each other on the trampoline, and I'm sitting on the porch on the other side because they were at the neighbor's house, and he would just dangle upside down, and they would just talk to each other while the other one would hold. I can't get you up, and I seen that, and I go, oh, the light bulb went off, and literally the first person to take the Styles Clash was my little brother, and he didn't tuck his head, and it turned out to be a move that I've been using ever since. So, yeah, the Pele, I don't remember how that came about. I really don't. It just kind of, I did it, and it seemed to work out pretty cool, so I just continued to do it. The back foot slot drop, you know, just one of those things. I'll do a suplex, let you land on a feet net breaker. Just trying to be different. Everything I did, I just tried to be different.
And you know what? I think that's great.
Oh, I'm sorry, Drew. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Now go ahead, Hennessy.
Well, I just wanted to say how great it is that by you being an innovator like that, and you really shoot for just always want to be original, it really keeps the fire, because a lot of stars that we have interviewed, you know, the fires start diminishing over time, you know, after years and years of punishment and years of the fans and stuff. You know, you start to lose your way, and, you know, you start to forget why you even got in the business. But by you staying and becoming an innovator and always want to be that person that's that trailblazer, it really keeps the flame going, and you know, it really pushes you to your limits and stuff, and I think that's amazing.
I think the more moves you have in your repertoire, the more options you have when put together a match. I think it's you know, very important to not only have your own signature stuff, but to have, you know, a lot of different things that you can do, so that when it comes to putting together a match, it's pretty easy to do. You know, that's just one of my things.
All right.
Yeah, real quick, AJ. What's some of your favorite wrestling matches of all time? Being the fan, not as a wrestler, but as a fan of wrestling, what's some of your favorite wrestling matches of all time?
I got to tell you, man, one match that comes to mind every time I thought, you know, it was just a television match between Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle, and I really liked that match. And I'm sure they had millions, but there was this one where it was just the flow of the match and the speed, everything was there. You know, they turned it up when they needed to, but it was so entertaining, the whole match. You know, it was one of those matches that yeah, I believe it when Kurt Angle said he just got beat up by a 12-year-old or something like that. But it was such an entertaining match. You know, I was always a fan of the Road Warriors, but you know, this is when I was a kid. I don't know if it was necessarily because they had paint on their face or just looked like complete animals in there. You know, why I was such a fan. I mean, they just looked like these larger-than-life characters. But it really wasn't a match that made me such a fan of theirs. I think maybe it was the shoulder pads with the spikes on them. You know, I don't know. But it's hard to put my finger on one match. I remember watching ECW Heatwave, I want to say 99, and it kind of blew me away, that match. Danny Doring, Roadkill, you know, that match they had to start the show off, I was like, are you kidding me? Now, at the time, I thought it was amazing, but I'm sure if I watched it back now, I'd be like, oh, man, where's the selling, you know, because I'm old now. I think that's what it is. So you look at the little things. But that match blew me away. It's one of those I'll never forget. And, gosh, those are the ones that stick out the most. Now, I know it's not the heavyweight title matches that most people would think it is, but those are the ones that I just remember watching. I remember watching Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam and them do these spots and then come up and do the standoff, and I thought, how did they remember all that? That's amazing. Right. So those are a couple that just stick out in my head.
Well, one more question for you, then I'm going to let everybody ask one more question real quick before we let you go. I just want to thank you ahead of time for this time of having you on. It's definitely been an honor having you. You've been a great guest. Yeah. Definitely. I want to ask you my last question, and then we'll go around, is if you could, current AJ Styles, if you had to go against AJ Styles in 2005, who would win?
Just the current AJ Styles would win because he's a vet, man. He's been in there. He's done it a long time. AJ Styles of 2005 would make mistakes. He's only been in the business for 6 years at that point. So, going up a guy who's been in it for 16, Styles may have the advantage with his crazy thinking, but when it came down to it, I think experience would take over.
Thank you for that. NSC?
My last question to you is that we had a former Olympian on our show, former sumo wrestler from America, who have wrestled in sumo both in Japan and the United States. He said that Japan always studied wrestling and treated it like a religion. My question to you is what fan base do you like wrestling mostly, in the Japan or here in America?
That's tough. We're selling out, big arenas in Japan, so that's nice, having so many fans and getting them to ooh and ah, you've done something when you get them to make some noise or go crazy over there, because they're so respectful. Just because they're sitting there and not saying so much doesn't mean they're not enjoying themselves. It just means they just respect what you're doing. And so, I really have fun over there. But, Canada, they're amazing. Certain places in the States are, always fun. So in England, they're crazy too over there. So it's hard to pick one place. But at this point in time in my career, I think that I'm having so much fun in Japan that that would be the one I'd pick.
Okay, thank you, AJ. Shin.
Actually, AJ, I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit. From the beginning, but being in the business for I think like 15 years for you, about 15 plus?
16.
16? I want to know, and I ask almost everybody this, but what is the funniest or the biggest rib that you have ever been a part of or seen happen?
Gosh. Well, there was a point in time where, at the beginning of TNA, when we started going out to Orlando, we had our rooms paid for, and it was, that was nice, So as it went on, they stopped doing that. So me, Joe, and Chris, and Frankie, we hang out with each other all the time. We're always together. So Joe got it in his contract to get a room. So all four of us stayed in a suite at one time. And the ribbing and the jokes that went on, I can't tell you because it was just ridiculous. But the one thing that we always had was we were committed to a gig. Now, if that meant that, I don't know, you're standing waiting for them to come out of the bathroom because you were doing something stupid and you just wanted them to pop for what you were doing, then that's what you did. And that happened. Sometimes Chris would stand there somewhere or do something for 15 minutes because we were committed to a gig. We wanted to get that big pop from Joe or Chris or myself. There were so many things that happened, so many stories that are so ridiculous that we have to write a book because it just doesn't sound like it'd be real. It doesn't sound like it actually happened. But the four of us had the craziest things, the craziest stories, and that was the most fun I've ever had in wrestling with those three guys, man, and the stuff that literally needs to be in a book before we all after we retire, because it's just so dumb and funny. At least I think it is.
You have one in particular?
Oh man, let's see what I can think of. Well, there was this one instance I don't know where we were, but I don't know if it was that we had a day off and we went to, I don't know if it was a mall or something, some kind of parking lot. I don't know where we went, but I don't know if these guys were drinking or not, but they were with their girls, so maybe they were just showing off. But they said something about Joe's shirt, and it was kind of rude and disrespectful. And I've been around Joe long enough to know that he's the wrong guy to say something stupid to. And that guy did. And I've gotten to the point where, because this has happened before, stupid stuff like this has happened, and I always try to be the voice of reason. I'm actually the international voice of reason, where Christopher Daniels is usually the voice of reason in the States. So, but it was one of those moments where I just knew I couldn't stop him, so instead of grabbing Joe, I just literally said, "Joe, don't," and he went after him anyway, and the guy really played his pants to see Samoa Joe coming after him. And, just because Joe wanted to know if his shirt offended him, bad guy to mess with, and I didn't try to stop Joe other than saying, "Please don't, Joe," or "Stop, Joe," but I wasn't going to run after him, knowing that this kid was running, both these guys are running with their girlfriends away from Joe. It would just kind of seem ridiculous to stop him. But he didn't do it.
Oh, man.
I think he finally saw that he had embarrassed him enough.
Well, he thought Joe was going to kill him.
Yes, that chant actually was, if someone was around, probably would have been chanting it. Yeah. We never found out because those guys were actually pretty fast with their girlfriends.
Well, you don't mess with Samoans. I know that from growing up in Hawaii. Yeah. That's a fact.
So, last question.
Yeah, AJ, my last question is, you're like having a good time in IWGP New Japan, but are you ever going to make any attempt to go after the Ring of Honor Championship? I know Jay Briscoe's been champion for a while, so I think that would be a good match.
Well, time will tell, man. If I get the opportunity, I'm going to go after it. It's just one of those timing things that, if I'm going to have the opportunity, I would like to. That's the one belt I've never had, and well, I won't say the one belt, but the one belt that I really want. TNA, or Ring of Honor, had been around for longer than TNA. A lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that, I really respect the company, and to be able to be their heavyweight champion would be nice to have on the list.
All right, thank you for that. If you don't mind, AJ, I want to give a shout-out to your agent. Is that okay to do on air?
Sure.
Yeah, give a big old shout-out to Bill Burns. Did I say his last name right?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, big shout-out to Bill Burns. We've been communicating for over a year. Good guy, good agent. Please check him out. He represents a lot of great talent. Of course,
hey, Bill.
Who's on the show now, AJ Styles. Just want to give a big shout-out. Thanks, Bill, for letting everything come through. I'm sure Bill tells you we've been talking for a minute through email. So, very good guy, too. Shimblade, you said the last request for AJ before you let him go.
Actually, AJ, I want you to do this for the fans out there who like nostalgia, and most namely Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. But you got to give me your Show Enough impression again, because I think everybody would like it right now. Even NSC Game Boy, who probably didn't see the video, but he wasn't there as well.
My Show Enough impression?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the most iconic thing that Show Enough ever said was, "Kiss my Converse." That to me. And at the time, when he was saying that, to kiss his Converse, I had no idea what he was talking about, because we weren't rich enough to have Converse. So it was really, I never understood what the heck he was saying until I got older. But yeah, that was the one thing. Then he goes to kiss his Converse and he gets kicked in the face, and Bruce Leroy just let everybody down.
That actually would be cool if you start doing a video series of you, AJ, wearing some Converses and Pelean people, just random people. Or there's even a Ring of Honor or Japan. Kiss my Converse, do like a Pele to them. That would be pretty cool.
It's funny. When I'm in Japan, I'm straight bad guy. I'm a heel. Ring of Honor, not the same. It's the only time we're going to get over as bad guys in Ring of Honor, and I'm talking about the Bullet Club, is if we're facing some of the Japanese guys. The Bullet Club is so ridiculously over, I don't think that'd ever work. They probably kiss my Converse, and then I'd Pele them, and they'd enjoy it.
Honestly, AJ, I don't even know. You're very popular around the world. I don't even know at times if you can do a heel turn because you're just so over.
I can't wait for the opportunity when they said, AJ, we want you to be a face in New Japan, because Tanahashi, who is the ultimate babyface, the ultimate stud over there, he gets so many gifts when he's over there. I don't know if you know about the Japanese culture, but these guys, when they leave the arena, they have bags and bags of gifts, from candy to whatever. I get some gifts every now and then, but I mean I'm a bad guy, so. But still, the day when it finally comes, I can't wait to get those gifts in Japan. I don't know if it ever will. It may not ever come. But.
Real quick, favorite Japanese food?
Soul still burns.
What was that?
AJ, real quick, favorite Japanese food?
Favorite Japanese food? Well, Japanese, they eat a lot of sushi. Now,
yeah.
I hate sushi. I hate
what?
it.
Sorry, I love some sushi.
Yeah,
it's
like
raw
okay,
fish.
AJ Styles is my enemy now.
But if you've ever had mochi, it is absolutely delicious. I don't know what happened to me as a kid, what I must have ate, but I have texture is a big thing with me in my mouth. So mochi is basically crushed up rice and made into a paste almost, and then they'll wrap this paste in over like pudding or ice cream, and it's amazing. It's got to be sweet though. It can't be soy sauce mochi, which is out there. I don't want that crap. So ice cream or pudding and other kinds of stuff. I love it, man. It is. That was one of the things I actually text how much I love the mochi. So I usually get mochi when I get fans give me mochi.
That sounds like that. That sounds like that pudding type thing they were talking about in The Hangover 2 in Thailand. They only feed it to old elders and retarded people.
Ooh, well, that makes me sound stupid, but
no.
I don't think that. I don't know if that's it. But I love it. So yeah, you guys got to try it if you ever get the opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely will. Well, AJ, before we let you go, anything that you need to plug or let everybody know your next appearances and what you'll be doing next?
I don't know where I am next because I don't keep up with anything until the date. Literally, I will look at my flight the night before. Oh, I got to get up this early. So I at this point, like I said, I just got home from Japan. So and I got this week off, thank God. And I haven't even really looked at my schedule, as crazy as that sounds. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, because I do check that constantly, it's AJ Styles ORG. That's also on my website, so you can actually find my schedule on there on my website. But I always say this, man, and I really mean it, that AJ Styles would be nothing without his fans. So I will always continue to work hard until the day that I retire, because when you see AJ Styles wrestle, I want you to feel like you got your money's worth.
Yes.
And AJ,
good.
AJ, real quick, look me up on Xbox at NSC Game Boy, spelled correctly.
NSC.
Yes, NSC Game Boy. Look me up on Xbox, man. Send me a friend request. Get some games in, man.
And also, look me up on Twitter under Sensational One. I will again tweet the video that you appeared in the Ring of Honor tapings that we did, so you can retweet that for the masses and for the members of the Bullet Club.
All right, that sounds good to me, and I'll give you a follow.
Oh, thank you.
AJ Styles, thank much. Buddy, I'll be contacting you throughout this week to get more of your information so we could send you your gift box as a thank you. And so you could contact NSC Game Boy.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure NSC Game Boy. Got it.
Yes, NSC Game Boy.
Am I saying it right? NSC. Because you say it so fast, I think I'm hearing it wrong.
Yeah, NSC. It's spelled correctly. NSC Game Boy. You good. You good. AJ, you good. Don't worry about it. The boy got you. Got you.
Well,
all right.
Well, honestly, Sensational One is hard to spell, so I'm going to tweet you in the next 5 to 10 minutes of the clip, and you can go ahead and do that. So you don't have to spell that one correctly.
All right. If I screw up the Xbox One, I can just ask you for.
Yeah, just hit me up there. Take care, AJ.
Thanks much, man.
Thank you very much, man. We enjoyed you.
Enjoyed you, man.
Love it. All
right. Thanks, buddy.
All
okay.
Right. Bye-bye.
AJ.
Everybody, that was the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, on this special episode. Great DLC content right there. Talked about everything from video games to movies to wrestling. That's what we do here under the Match Radio.
He's lucky because I'm giving him one of my systems from my vault. And anybody that knows the boy, I don't give anybody any of my systems. Like the last time I think I gave one of my systems was one of my daughters, and I had to contemplate that one. So he's very fortunate that the boy is.
I just want to say, since you guys were talking about video games, let's have a moment of silence for the WrestleMania 25 system, Sega Saturn. Potential was never realized. 10-bell ring.
Yeah.
I wasn't serious, but okay.
Were we really doing this?
It's funny.
Definitely. And NFC Game Boy Tech is still waiting for his gift from the Vault. It's on Nintendo 64. There's 3 years.
Actually, I can go grab yours too while I'm getting AJ's in.
Yeah, man, mine still works, man. It survived the tornado, man. I don't know what those Nintendo consoles are made of, but it should be like an Element or something.
Yeah, Nintendo Element. All right, AJ Styles, great guy.
Actually,
shout out to Bill Burns. Shin keeps cutting Tech off while he gives shout outs and giving plugs. So we're going to try this again. Shout out to Bill Burns.
Go ahead and
shout out to Bill Burns. Z fans, this is exactly what I said. We're going to try this one more again. Shout out to Bill Burns, the great agent of pro wrestling, represents a lot of great talents around the world. Thank you much, buddy, for that. Thank AJ Styles. Thanks, big shout out to Mrs. AJ Styles and the little AJs, too, for letting their dad join us on the show, too. Mm-hmm. Also, AJ is a hashtag Team Microsoft right now, not Team Sony. Go ahead, Shin. You got a minute.
Well, I was going to say, saw teams marking out on Twitter. I was trying to find a video, but luckily I found it. So, really, it was a great interview, lots of fun, highlighted my day, and everything, all that. So, Shin is pretty content, doing the shy hands. But actually, I'm going to end this show doing the AJ gloved hand.
Really can't see it, but
really?
You can post a video
can't
of it.
See it.
You can't
well,
really see it.
Use your imagination.
The
soul still burns.
Yeah, soul still burns. Shouldn't tell another man use his imagination. Man law violation again. Shout out to Star Team for calling on in. Shout out to all of the callers. Miss you, Cheeky. Normally Cheeky calls in, but miss you much. Any random shout outs, so before we close it out?
Shout outs to I guess the next Avengers movie.
Yeah,
I know. Shout outs to Arrow and Flash and Gotham coming back next week, and shout outs to all the superhero nerds and nerd fans, and shout outs to Game of Thrones fans. Basically shout outs to nerds in general. Yeah.
And nobody told me about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that came on last month. I'm just now trying to catch up on it.
That's why you have TV guys and Google. Exactly.
Well,
and
I'm on
Game
the
Boy,
last
real quick,
episode.
shout outs.
Shout out to my daughter Serenity. Her birthday is this Monday. My baby's turning 7 years old. So Daddy loves you. And my daughter Serenity, she'll be 7 Monday. So Daddy loves you, and shout out to her.
Shout out Serenity.
And to the fans, I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. It's been real. Check us out on Tuesday.
Give my random shout out. Yeah. Shout out to my crew. Love you all much. Shout out to Big Mel that is listening. Thanks so much for the support and everybody, all of the fans. Also, shout out to you, our fan Danielle that is on Twitter, who gave us a nice shout out on the show. She said that she loved the show last night and really loved the moment with air quote Black Macho, which was Sherwin doing the impression with Lanny Poffo.
Who's her handle?
Oh, Lord.
Danielle, that's it.
Her handle is Danielle.
Okay. No, we need it. Shout out to the Shy Hands fans. Thank you much for joining us to a special episode of Under the Mat Radio.
As a fan.
Right when we end this, the episode is archived too. Don't forget, next Tuesday, regular time, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, we will have first owner and creator of Kayfabe Commentary, Sean Oliver, will be joining us. Also, we will have on the show world-renowned comedian Nick Mundy, who's also on the great YouTube channel Screen Junkies, which also does the honest trailers. He will be joining us as well. We'll be talking about his career in comedy, also his interview that he got to do with The Rock last year. Yes, Dwayne Johnson. And also we'll be talking about his new hits web series that he's doing with Chris Jericho himself, Y2J. So don't forget about that. Want to know, fans, this is your host, Tech, with
NFC Game Boy,
lead correspondent
Shinblade, trying to get this tweet out.
And co-correspondent
Me, Toph, the black guy, always in the white movies.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, shout out to CW and WB for that random black dude that's always in those series like Buffy and Felicity and
Vampire Diaries and stuff.
Vampire Diaries and Edgewood and Lost and all that. And shout out to the Toast, the people that wear koofies on their head. Wait, fans, we love you much. NFC Game Boy, give us the benediction.
Oh, you already know what it is, what it do. Amen.
And a middle finger to Tech for saying that.
I'll shut your mouth.
You're number one.
Don't forget about the Hawaii Ninjas of hashtag to them and the Hawaii. Also, special shout out to the DSS Corps that we saw in Fast and Furious 7. Shout out to Uncle Black. Talk to y'all later. See y'all next week.